Hi, everybody. It is Wednesday, May 27th. Third time I've said that today. I just want to remember where I am, and you are here for a creating choice board session. This choice board session really comes out of some collaborative work that I have been doing with Capital Region BOCES. Although, quite honestly, choice boards have always kind of been near and dear to my heart. I have used choice boards for a long time. They are really a piece of something that I used when I was teaching in my music classroom. I always wanted to give my students choice because I felt like they would do better. I had this group of fourth graders at the end of the day that were brutal, right? Of course, it might be something to say about fourth graders in general, but they were a rough crew. And I had them after gym, right? So they'd had gym, they went back to the class for like 40 minutes, and then they came in. And it was just a really, really rough group. So those of you that just came in, make sure you go into the chat down at the bottom. There are some circles. You're looking for the one that looks like a speech bubble. You're going to click on that. A sidebar is going to pop up. And once that pops up, put your name right in there. I'm going to take attendance, although Nicole, I did get you, just so you know when you came in. And in that space, I am putting the link to the materials. Okay. So there we go. And don't, hi, Kristen. So as we work through this, the really great thing about choice boards is that they don't care what platform you build them in. So the concept is really that you're going to give your students some choice and voice in your classroom. So when we come over here, I'm just kind of moving my little Brady Bunch crew around so I can see the chat when you're all in here together. There we go. So for those of you that don't know, my name is Bond, Virginia Bond. Bond like James, Virginia like the state. I work for NARIC as an ISS Integration of Technology Training Specialist. Big, long, I have the longest title in the agency, right? It's ridiculously long because it's really instructional support services integration of technology training specialist. It took me like 6 months to be able to speak the whole thing. Rosina, if you can't hear, can everybody else hear me pretty good? Everybody else can hear me. Rosina, pop out and then pop back in, okay? So that may help. Just checking. I want to make sure that we can hear that. And I know sometimes it's a battle. I remember I always record, right? I did start to put, I pushed the record button. I did. I just check in to make sure. So as a training specialist, I really kind of do a lot of different things that are really along the lines of sorry guys, I'm gonna stop for a minute. I got some people like Amy Davis is definitely having login issues. She's in 4 times. Not sure what that is. Amy, try logging out, like closing out, closing, turning off the browser. Yeah, she just left. And try to get back in. Hopefully she will be able to do that. Can I give the job to someone when she comes back in, with the next 2 people come back in, that you copy and paste the link back into the chat for them? I don't care if 6 of you do it, just as long as somebody does it. If you can see it, put it in there. Great. So the purpose is really a choice board is really to give students the ability to kind of choose what learning style works best for them, and to really, for us teachers, to not worry about the product that comes back to us. Thank you, Margaret. Because wouldn't it be nice to get a lot of different things instead of just like all PowerPoints? Like, how many of you get sick of PowerPoints? That would be me, right? And I use them all the time. So here's our learning targets. You're going to understand some of the instructional best practices behind choice boards, understand those key elements of a choice board. You may not be able to totally create one, but you're going to start one. You're going to work in a platform of choice, and then totally just forget what this says, collaborate with peers, okay? So, I mean, not that I wouldn't want you to collaborate with peers, but this is actually a 2-hour training that I'm cutting down to an hour. So I'm kind of taking that thought process out right now, just to kind of get us in a little quicker. I need to go through this. So as a REC, we have a data privacy and security statement that basically says, please follow your own district's data and privacy guidelines. If I happen to show you something that's amazing today, like an extension or a tool or something you can use, don't go back and say, oh my God, Virginia showed me the best thing and I need it right now because she said it's okay. Yeah, I'd be like, liar, liar, pants on fire. You still got to check with the person, your DPO and your district. I wish I had that kind of power and could give you all the tools that work all the time, but I can't do that. I can show you some things and then your district has to make a decision about that. That is because of Ed Law 2D, and it has to do with security issues for not just you, but for your students' PII. So the personable, identifiable information. Boy, it's hard to say for me. And that's why I'm really careful. Just know that I tend to be very careful myself with that because I don't want to share PII myself and I don't want to share it for students. Most of what I show you is okay, but you'd still need to get it approved by your districts. I'm just saying. So as we go here and we talk about choice boards, we're going to do this as just a number chart. So when I ask you about choice boards, I'm going to give you 3 options, okay? If you know nothing, you're going to be a 1. If you've dabbled, you're going to be a 3. And if you're like, move over, girl, you're going to be a 5. You can either show me by hands or you can type it in the chat, okay? So give me a 1, 3, or a 5, okay? I know nothing. I've dabbled, or I am a, Tammy, you cheater, you, in between 1 and 5. That would be 3, honey. Okay, so like, what have you done? Have you done a 1? Okay, I've got some dabblers. I got nobody willing to train, huh? Nobody wants to, like, oh, so Tara, you know, that's right. So a lot of us have used choice boards offline, right? All the time. So all I'm really asking is for us to go to a digital component. Elementary teachers have done choice boards for years. So let me put it in context for you. The context is you have the board in the side of the room and you've got your must-dos and your can-dos, right? That's a choice board. I'm just calling it by another name. So your must-do can-dos, or like you're going to do your daily 5 and the kids get to kind of choose along the way. They're going to do all 5, but they're going to do them. That's also a choice board. So when we think about that, you've probably done them in a format that you're just not used to. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to talk about that format. I'm clicking a couple. So really, what is a choice board? A choice board is some form of graphic organizer. It can be like a learning center. Yes, it can be. So I'm going to say kind of a, that's a kind of hard maybe. How's that for a great non-answer answer? It's a graphic organizer, or graphic organizer that's going to let your students choose how they're going to learn. And it's really about product. So they can be put into a grid, and students can, or you'll force them, I kind of like the force mode, just so you know, to choose several activities to complete. So you're going to give them a lot of choices. And what I really want to tell you is that it's never about having all kinds of answers. So when I say that, and that's not the answer, what I mean, not having all kinds of ways to check the assessment. So when I think back to when I was teaching music, a lot of what I would do is I would create a rubric. So just pretend that this is a rubric. My blank piece of paper right here is a rubric, right? And I would basically put it up and I'd do the 4, 3, 2, 1. And I was very much a backwards design girl. I'd know what I wanted it, and those would be my 3s. Expectations above that would be my 4s. And then I'd work my way backwards and I'd have my categories down the side. So I was a tech teacher. So a lot of times I was worried about the tech components. So I was going to put tech components in there. I was going to put content in there. I was going to put what other pieces. If I needed to have a presentation, I would put presentation mode in there. So that rubric I would use to guide all of the pieces in my choice board, because it's the content that I was worried about, not the way it was delivered to me. Does that make sense? So that's kind of our mentality as we walk through this. So the basics. It's some kind of board. It involves choice, multiple options for products. It's more free learning. More free learning for the students. Now, for a teacher, for some of you, This is going to feel like a hot mess, out of control. Oh my God, I don't know all the answers. And you know what? It's okay. If your student comes to you and says, like you say to them, I want you to give me a presentation, and that's all you say, I can guarantee you, Jacques, you're going to have 6 kids that are going to come to you and say, well, what does that mean? I don't understand. What kind? And you say to them, that's your choice. I'm allowing you free choice. I'm allowing you to pick. You could have a kid give you an Animoto. You could have a kid give you a VoiceThread. You could have a kid give you a PowerPoint. You could have a kid stand and deliver and do it from his phone. You could have a kid do YouTube Live. Oh my God, wouldn't it be fun to watch all those different kinds of options? If those were all the options, and you're still going to sit there with your rubric and you're just going to check off if the pieces are all there. Okay, so you're not going to worry about what the product is that comes back to you, because students are going to learn in the product and the mode that works best for them. So the free learning, you're going to be really more of on the side, and the student goes, well, I don't know how to do this. And you'll say, okay, let's go learn together. So we have to have that comfort in that. And quite honestly, this is the perfect time in our life to be able to do that kind of exploration, because we're under no grading guidance. We don't have to worry about all of those pieces that won't work. Nobody's, the APPR police aren't coming after us, right? All of those things have kind of been gone by the wayside. All right, so here we go. So materials, something to just keep in mind. Let's have a mix of online, offline. And what that really means is that that's going to take into account our equity issues that our students have as far as access. So some of the activities can be offline. And when I say that, like this last bullet down here, sometimes a cell phone photo is really the best proof for. There's nothing wrong with that. The learning is still occurring. Just because I'm saying it's digital doesn't mean they have to do all the work digitally. Quite honestly, I don't know about you guys. I was just walking, right? I was walking back coming in here, and I was thinking, I'm exhausted. Okay, and I'm sure you guys are too, right? We're at that mode. We're at the end of the year. I just did a count. Like, I've done almost 80 trainings since the middle of March. I've hit a moment where it's like almost like a wall. I mean, that's like brutal honesty, right? I don't want to say it's a wall. I'm just tired. I'm tired. Kids are tired. Kids aren't used to this kind of learning. And for them, this is wind down time. Or if you have a senior, it's already check out time, right? We just have to think about where they are and kind of keep them motivated to go through. So if we can provide some offline learning for them, I think that's really valuable, to get them off off a screen for a while, so they can do some of the learning not tied to a screen. They can give it back to you in a different format. That's okay too. When you think about doing an offline, think about common items, but like this one, but assume nothing. And if you don't know what the green crayon meltdown is, right? And I know teachers have had this. A student needed to use a green crayon and they didn't have a green crayon, and the student literally lost it, right? You don't want to have a green crayon meltdown. I don't want to have a green crayon meltdown. Some days I feel like that too, right? You just like, I don't have what I need, and it's making it so difficult. We don't want to be at that point. Okay, and also here's another one. We want to avoid new online tools. Stick to what your students know. And we don't want it to become this like crazy, don't put like 19 tools on there, right? We want to keep it really to what they know. So you're not pushing a new tool at them. They may push a new tool to you. That's okay. Allow them to make that choice of a new tool. Poor Amy Davis. I feel so bad for her. She is trying so hard to get into this session, and she is not. I'm getting out in. Okay, so here are some examples of some planners. So I'm going to show you some of them. Now, some of you are going to ask access for this menu planner. I don't own it. Okay, so I can't give you access to it. It was shared to me. So you just have to look at it and pretend it's beautiful. It is beautiful, actually. And let's see if I can get into it. So it may, yeah, I just got to flip over to my other account. So I'm using 2 accounts for this one. Menu planner. And I think, oh, there it is, a menu choice board. So this is an example of a menu choice board used in a high school. So it's got one content area. The content area here that they're going to deal with is photosynthesis. And what she's done is she's taken that concept and she's turned it into a dinner menu. So she has an appetizer where everybody shares. So everyone writes, this is a must do, write the chemical equation for photosynthesis. Then the entree, they're going to select one of the entrees, one simple one. Draw a picture, write 2 paragraphs, create a rap song. Okay, one of those 3. Then side dish, they're going to select at least 2 of these 4 that are in here. Define in writing, compare using a Venn diagram, that's a very spatial lesson, write a journal entry, create and perform a skit. And then the dessert is optional. So they're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 pieces that they're going to do out of the 3, 4, 8, 9 pieces in here. They're going to do 4 to 5 of these. Does that all make sense? I like how there's all different models. So the thing I think that's really important is, as teachers, a lot of what we ask our students to give back to us is reading and writing. We ask our kids to read and we ask our kids to write. We don't give them a lot of different options, right? So especially in high schools, because that's how we get our proof back, right? We get our proof back that way. Sometimes we do oral presentations. Sometimes we'll do, I mean, PE teachers don't do that. It's pretty hard. I mean, they absolutely hate that. Different board every day. No, boards would last a long time, Jock. So, and that's a good point, right? These are not like 1-day babies, right? These are like long, which is like, and that's like a, woo, that's a yay, right? We're going to make them last for an amount of time. They're not going to be quick. They could be a week. They could be 2 weeks. They're going to be longer than just, you know, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, moving on. Yeah, they are very good for review. So let me give you another one. Kind of the most famous, or the most famous ones out there are called the tic-tac-toe boards. So this is an example of a tic-tac-toe board. This is a tic-tac-toe board, 3 in a row. This is a PD board. That's usually my focus. So I've stolen some PD boards for some friends, from some friends. And in this tic-tac-toe board, they're using the center piece to turn in work. Okay. So you have to do a tic-tac-toe and you must do this one. Okay. So that means you've got to go across, up, down. You've got to do one. This teacher actually allowed them to do 4 of the 8, and then they turn in their projects into the middle. Okay, I'm going to give you another tic-tac-toe board. This is another one. This one is built by me. This is digital citizenship tic-tac-toe board, whereas instead of having people submit to the middle, I would force them to the middle. So I wanted everybody to do number 5, so the center square. So you had to do this one. And this is one built around games. So gamifying digital citizenship. So this is, I want everybody to do this one, and then you could do the others, but you had to use this one. So again, you're kind of forcing them to a spot. Okay, another one. Let me show you, this is what I call the amazing PD board. When you look at this one, everybody is usually like, oh my God. So this is a teacher, I'm gonna put it in present mode, who built PD as a choice board for an entire year. And her teachers had to get a tic-tac-toe. Well, they had to get 5 in a row. And the center didn't count, so you couldn't do these here. So you had to go down or across, and you couldn't do diagonals, so you had to do 5. And when you go through it, if you clicked on one, it would take you to a specific spot. And the magic in this that's really, really cool is that the way she built it is she built this first slide, right? She built this slide. She saved it as an image. She put it back in as a background. And then what she did, she put the options over top of it. These are overlays on top of it. Okay. So this colorful box here has become the background. And then all of these white boxes have become the choices so that teachers can see how it works. It's a really neat way to do it. And then the last one is this one that I will show you. This is a choice board right here that I've created. This is a choice board around a concept. So this is my concept. My first slide is the idea, like what I would be my question surrounding. So how has being home, working from home, staying at home changed the way you think about your family? So that's kind of my big question. And then I asked, like, what are you doing for others, for yourself, for nature? And then using this choice board, I would like to explore the idea of kindness. Okay, so that's a little different. Like, how can you be kind to yourself? How can you be kind to others? How can you be kind to nature? I really took kind of a social emotional learning bent with this one. So when you come into the next screen, you see this, right? And this looks like a pile of crazy. But what this is, every one of these images is a slide. Everything I click, right? So if I go there, that's a slide. And if I go back to slide 2, which is where that sits, and I go here, that's a slide. I would submit this to my students and say to them, I want you to come up with, I want to do 5. There are 14 in here. And they're very open-ended. Animal involvement. I don't even tell you what that means, right? What does that mean? Well, it could be taking care of the animals in your family. And I was thinking kind of middle grades, like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, could be very open. Like, how would you do that? And I would submit this to my students into a Google Classroom. I would make a copy for each student, and my students would give me their work back on the slides. So that this would be their work that they would be working on together. I could actually do it with groups too. I could actually, yes, I could put a return icon on each slide to take you back. With students, I wouldn't care. They would have their own copy, so they'd be working in it. So they'd be able to go up and down it. So for present mode, that would be much easier. I just didn't do that. Okay, so that all makes sense. So that's the crazy pile of one that I really like. So I gave you some resources. AJ Giuliani, who's really the genius. You know, Hannah, so this, would you recommend for schools with Microsoft, not Google? So the good thing about choice boards is that they can be built anywhere. Yes, and I would say it's in PowerPoint. All you want to do is you want to build them in PowerPoint on your desktop, right? I would build them there, not go online and do them, because it's actually easier to build them all right on your computer and then upload the whole file all at once. So, because all you're going to do is map it out. That process is not going to change if we're on PowerPoint or if we're on Google. Does not matter, okay? And when I go into this, you're going to notice when I start to make one, you'll notice, because I'm going to do it on both platforms at the same time. It's really easy. Okay, so just some resources here. Caitlin Tucker has really started the concept of digital choice boards. So these are 2 great things to read on your free time when you got nothing else to do. Okay, things to keep in mind. They are not just about differentiating instruction. I want you to understand that. It's not the only thing. To Virginia, differentiate instruction means I take this lesson and I create it with different levels, but it's all the same material, okay? That's what it means to me. This is not just that, okay? This is about giving students about the products you're giving back to you, okay? It's not the only thing. So here's my first little gift to the teachers in the room. If you have never used Rewordify, here's Rewordify. You can copy text into this area right here, and I will go find some. I don't know if I have anything I could show you. You copy text in here, you push Rewordify the text, and it'll reword it. So the big long words become shorter words for your students. That is a great tool, all right? I know, and Nicole just gave me the eyeballs, so I know she wants to see it, because I know those eyeballs, right? I'm just going to go find an article. Hopefully I'm not going to get waylaid. I don't even care. Okay, so this is fine. It doesn't really matter what text. I'm just going to take any text here. So I'm going to copy this text right here and hoping that doesn't, thanks. Copy. I'm going to close that because I don't need it anymore. I'm going to go into Rewordify. I'm going to paste it. Okay, and I'm just going to Rewordify. Anything that's yellow just got turned into other text, okay? So right here, this is infectious disease is a disease that can be spread from person to person. This is a great way. So you can print. Now, this is a website, requires no login, requires nothing. You can't send it to students. You would do the work and then send it to them. Okay, so you can click the highlighted words to learn and hear them. So if you didn't know what the word mocked meant, so it's made fun of former vice president. That's a really great tool You're welcome. That is a nice tool for people to have. It's great for it's great for ENLs or ESLs or whatever we happen to call them today because they change all the time. It's great for students, for special ed students, right? That's a great little tool to have at your fingertips. So there are 15 hard words, and you can actually, what words do you want to read, right? You can actually, there's a lot it'll do. It's a very simple thing, and it's free, and it costs no money, and there's no PII involved in it, so you can use it. Okay, so that's my gift to you today. So choice boards are really about product, engaging with the information, level of complexity that students are ready for, and what appeals to their interests. You're welcome. So when I do anything to do with choice boards, I like to keep in mind multiple intelligences. It's not just Bloom's taxonomy, which is really important because we don't want to just be chew and spew data all the time, right? We don't want to just ask our kids multiple choice questions all the time because that's what I call chew and spew. I don't want to do that simple information constantly. I want students to create more. It's going to be like the highest level of Bloom's. So when we also talk about that, we're going to talk about modalities and how students learn best, because I'm sure there's some of you in the room that learn much better word-wise or much better mathematically, right? That's going to be your strength. Mathematicians are always going to come to logical, right? My daughter is a naturalistic. She's a naturalistic bodily kinesthetic learner. I have known that about her forever. That is just her. I am not. So this right here, if you want to learn how to do this with your kids, this is a multiple intelligence test to take with your kids, and it's kid friendly. Okay, it's not like it's spouse friendly, quite honestly. When you look at it, you can walk your kids through this. I pride myself on having a large vocabulary. Your students can go through and they can take this exam. It's very easy. It's long, but it doesn't take too long. And then they push the button and they find their strengths. And what they get is they get results. So anybody want to take a gander at what my number one is? Come on. Somebody in the room knows me. Margaret.
Musical.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. So when I go into it, right, as a music teacher by trade, right, you know, there it is. Musical, there's my strength. Of course, duh, right? That's my 5. So spatial. So I remember exact shapes and colors. I like posters, charts, and graphics. Anybody that knows me knows that's true, right? Then my next is intrapersonal. I know myself. So what I like about it is it gives it, and then it tells you how you learn best. Like, here's some ideas for how you learn. Your students are each going to get one of these if they take the quiz. Anything above 3 is a strength, okay? So it's not a shocker that I'm music, spatial, intra, inter, and logic, right? Those are my strengths. It makes sense. So what I would do, and what I did is created a form here. I'd have your students tell you back what their strengths were. Then you would know, and you'd have a spreadsheet of all of them so that they were all collected. This one right here, existential, is not replicated or is not represented within the Find Your Strengths because it's really considered to be a new multiple intelligence. Those are for students who are into yoga, who are really into like taking care of our bodies. It's a new kind of intelligence that's out there, and they haven't figured out a way to put that into the quiz, but that's just a simple thing. So then when we talk about this, we talk about products. So basically you go through multiple intelligences and you look at the products that are good for your students. So here's an example of lots of different products that your students can use. This list is how I made my choice boards with all of those options. Remember? The one that had like you clicked on every picture and you went somewhere else? I used this list on how to do that. And I tied it to the intelligences. Okay? It wasn't rocket science, I promise. So when we talk about complexity, again, you know, thinking about, you could group your students together by strengths and do beginning, intermediate, advanced groups, which is a great way to also grade less things. Just saying. I mean, let's be honest, right? You could have kids work together on things. So when we talk about creating boards, what are those steps that are involved? You need to know where you're going. So start with the end, know where your students are, give them some different delivery content. So interest, learning styles, readiness. I mean, we can do face-to-face, we can do asynchronous, we can do things like video. We can push kids to video, right? That's such a great way to learn. YouTube is such a great way for our kids to learn. I don't know about you, but I learn from YouTube all the time, right? It's really valuable. And that's like a real life skill to have kids learn from YouTube. Students are then going to work independently. You're going to pull them back. You're going to take questions, and you don't have to pull them. You don't have to ask those questions in a group. You could have them. They may need like 5 minutes of your time, right? They may say, hey, can I come and ask you questions? Sure, come on in, right? That's going to be the best way they're going to learn. Then at the end, they're going to turn in their projects. This allows for that choice. And then if you have a way to do this, you're going to showcase those final pieces. And showcasing those final pieces can be something as simple as creating a PowerPoint or a slide presentation and linking your kids' stuff into there. So then everybody has that chance to look at what has been created. Because you'll be shocked at what your kids will come up with. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to skip those 2 boards. So here we go. How to build. Phew. On all of that, I'm going to close lots of windows really quick. Oh, I'm a little scared to close all the windows because I don't know where you guys are sitting. So we're going to try this. I'm going to close everything to the right.
I had a quick question.
Sure.
You kept going back to a slide that said different choice boards, and one was like tic-tac-toe and menu planner, tic-tac-toe, and just what is the PD board? I just can't remember what that stands for.
That rainbow colorful one.
Ah, okay. Does it have words associated with it, or?
It does. If you click on it, so this is built by Pamela Hubler. And when you click on it, it would kind of bump you around through the board. Just a different way to look at boards.
But as far as you know, like the P and the D don't stand for something? Or?
Professional development, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, so now I'm going to build one. You ready? So I'm going to toggle back and forth. So the first thing is I'm going to choose a topic. I'm going to pick, I always pick something really, really random. Butterflies. That sounds good, right? Butterflies. Yay, butterflies. It can be a topic, a unit, a large concept, a book study. You saw that the other one was photosynthesis. Know where you're going, what you need to go with. Then you're going to start with a blank doc. Okay, so I am going to build a doc here. And you guys are going to watch me go into double format. I'm going to do 2 things at once. And I am going to build a blank doc here. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to use 2 tabs. I'm going to take a tab. I'm going to go to blank so you can see 2 side by side at the same time. All right. So I don't want you to think you can only do this in one format because you totally can do it anywhere. So I've got docs on the right and Word docs on the left and Word on the right. Woo! All right, so the next piece, we're going to name it and title it, enter down a bit, and do a 3x3 table. So I'm going to do it in Word first. I'm going to name first. So why do I do this? It's because I don't know about you, but I lose more than I save, right? That's the reality of it. I'm going to browse because I have my setup to save to the desktop. And I'm going to call this choice board. Okay, choice board word. I'm going to put butterfly in there so I know what happens when I get that done. Butterfly. Okay, and this is going to be my butterfly choice board. Okay, perfect. Beautiful. I'm going to enter down a bit. Okay, and the reason for that, I want to put space so I can put directions up there. If you don't do that and you automatically put the table in the top, it's really hard to move the table. I've learned that the hard way, right? It's just hard to move the table. So give yourself space to build. Insert table 3x3. 1, 2, 3. There's my 3x3. Ooh, isn't it pretty? Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, I'm just going to name them different. Butterfly CD. I'm going to do butterfly choice board. Again, I'm going to enter down a couple times. Insert table 1, 2, 3. Okay, there we go. So now I have 3 and 3. All makes sense, right? Easy enough. Look at that. They even look alike. Okay, next one. So now I'm going to decide how am I going to use the centers? Am I going to use all 9? So they'll submit through this. So I'll use all 9 and I'll use this as my special place. So I'm going to force students to center on this one. So this is going to be my most important info, okay? That could be the place where I actually go through and say to them, I want you to do all the reading in here and then give me back some proof of what you've done. That could be their main learning in there, right? Does that make sense? On the other one, go ahead and ask a question.
No.
Oh, it's okay. So yes, you could put your essential question, Rick, I'd probably put my essential question up here because I either want them to submit or I want them to do work there. I don't want to give up a block, right? I'm too much of a control freak. Again, we all know that about me, right? I want to use as many blocks. So I have 9, okay? So now a lot of teachers, when they see this, they think of that professional development board and they want to go 5 by 5. Trust me, start small, okay? Just trust me, start small. It'll be a lot easier. So on one of them, I'm going to have my students submit their work through here. And that could be, I could use a Google form for that. I could drive them to another document here. I could drive them to a slide presentation here. So I might have the link that's there. Either one will work. I could do the same thing here. Okay. I could also just put the link of the information that I want for them to be in there. Okay, next one. So now I'm going to add colors into the cells, or I'm going to code them by difficulty. So this is more personal preference. I like to make it not simple. Yeah, there you go, Nicole. She's got it. Any kind of form will work, right? So let's say I'm going to do greens are going to be my easy, right? So I'm going to do green, green, green. I almost have this like spatially figured out at times. I'm going to do, I might lie. I might not do 3 greens. Yeah, I might not do 3 greens. I might only do 2. So then I'm going to do yellow, yellow, and yellow. So I always have people say, why do you do it like this? Well, I don't know. It just seems to work this way. So red, oh yeah, not that red. This red over here. This red is how I'm gonna, that's gonna be my hardest. Now you don't have to tell the kids what the colors mean. They might figure it out, right? Well, that's a way for me to kind of color code it. So I have the hardest thing on top. No, he's like not gonna figure it out, right? Having those colors in there, you don't have to do it like that. You can do every box a different color if it appeals to you more. Doesn't really matter. However you want to do that. So same process. You're going to just fill those boxes with colors, right? It's really easy. Going to go to the next one. Just put a different color in there. Whatever you want, however it makes you happy. Okay, simple. Next one. I just want to keep product in mind. So this is my product slide. Like, what do I want my students to be able to do? So now I'm going to start filling in my pieces. So what do I want to do? So I want to keep in mind non-tech options. So maybe I want to do pictures of butterflies, right? That might be a little hard right now, but pictures of butterflies. Okay, that might be one of my options. So hopefully they could be real pictures, so they can submit pictures of butterflies. I'd have to give them a place to submit it. But what students could also do is they can take their words out and they can put their pictures right in there. So pictures of butterflies, you know how generic that is? I'm going to make it like this. Labeled pictures of butterflies. So I want them, they could either have their own pictures, they could find pictures, draw pictures. I'm not telling them which one. I'm going to allow them to make that choice on their own. So when we work our way through, then this is where we go through and we put all the pieces in. This is where you work against like multiple intelligences. What are the pieces that I want my students to do? Do I want my students to give me a report? Well, I guess if a kid really wants to give me a report, oh, I wrote red on red. That's funny. If I really want my students to give me a report, gosh knows I don't want to read a report, right? I might not make that an option because I just don't want to read it. I mean, I just totally not. Maybe I want my kids to write a song write a song or a rap about the life cycle of the butterfly, right? So talk about the process. When we think through what we'd be asking our students to do, they not only have to learn the information, they have to synthesize that information, and then they have to create with it. So that's a kind of a really big piece, right? So Jock, this kind of comes back to your question. This is definitely not like a one-day thing, right? It's going to take time to get to this process. So when you think through it, okay, so next you can also just put images in. So if I put a picture in, I'm totally just using, this is so unlike me. Oh, okay. So don't laugh, but I'm just literally going to put in a picture of a dinosaur right now. Pretend that's a butterfly. So you put in your butterfly picture or your dinosaur. Maybe he's a butterfly. Maybe he wants to be a butterfly, right? That's really funny. And then remember that you can link. You can always link images. So in here, I can come through and I can hyperlink an image to something, right? I can have students do that, or you can do the same thing. So you can say in here, label pictures of butterfly. If you want them to submit it somewhere, you can have it there so it links out. So don't forget that that is always an option. You can link pictures and you can link text. We tend to forget that, right? Okay, so the next thing, come through in here. So those are done. That was easy, right? Anybody in pain because of that? Anybody got all those pieces?
I don't.
Who needs a review of a piece?
I do.
Will I show you? Will you show us more of what goes in the center? Okay, more of what goes in the center. All right, let me go see. I'm going to go to Wonderopolis. Okay, so you're going to be like, what? So I know that there's some really good content at Wonderopolis, so I'm going to go there. I'm going to go out here. I'm going to just put my screen back together so it's big. So if you've never used Wonderopolis, my friends, this is gift number 2 to you today. So Wonderopolis is all, so some people have, yep. This is all nonfiction text, and it is free. Again, free. I am the lover of the free, just so you know. And I'm going to look up butterflies. Butterfly. So here is information on butterfly stroke. I have no idea why this is in my butterfly results, but who knows? Ooh, what goes on inside of a cocoon? Oh, well, let's go look at that one. That looks good. Right? So here's some content that I could give my students, right? Really good content, actually. So I could take this link and I could copy it, and then I would go back out to my Word documents, and I might force them to a couple of different things. I can have them read 3 articles in here. Wonderopolis, I should have really looked at the number that was 923. Number 923. Yep, that was really good typing. And I would link that content in there. So I have to scroll up because I always have to remember. I am going to link. Can I remember how to do that? Yep, hyperlink right there. I'm going to put an address in there. I'm going to hyperlink that content in, right? So that's when I'm going to have students, I force students into the center with content. I like that mode. Everybody's doing it. I may want to ask questions in there because I don't know about you, but if I went back to my little 4th grade duffers that I had, they would have just told me they hadn't done it, and I'd have to have some proof that they did it. I may want to do that during a conversation with them. I may want to see some of that content within their presentations. I probably give them more than one. I might have a resource page here. I might have this link to another resource document that had lots of butterfly content in it, right? The things that you would probably use as a teacher. Those YouTube videos. Could someone repaste the choice board link. Oh, yes, sorry. Oh, thanks, guys. What do they use to hand things in? Well, that becomes up to you. Google Classroom's an option. They could share the folder with you via link, right? They can go up and share whatever they make and just share it back to you via your email. You can make this as difficult or as easy as you want it to be. Google Classroom's an option. You can make, if they were sharing by folder, they could share the folder to you. They could send the document to you. I'm not a huge lover of email because God knows I don't want any more because I like you guys, but wow, I get way too much email, right? There's just a ton. So those are options. So now what I want to do is I want to take you into the slide. I want to do the PowerPoint slide presentation. I'm gonna do it in slides and then I'll show you the equivalent in PowerPoint. All right, so when you build a slide presentation, we're gonna use the same idea, okay? I'm gonna do some really quick just navigation for you. So when we come in, I'm gonna call this choice board butterfly, just so I have the name of it. So I don't put anything in. My first page is always the main question, okay? That's where I'm going to put the main question up on this page. Does that make sense? That's pretty simple. And then on the next page, I'm going to just enter another slide. So I'm going to come down and enter another slide in. Okay, thanks. I got it. You know what? That's a new, that is a new update as of today because I have never seen that before. I'm really glad you're showing me my document status. Okay. So my next slide is going to be, I'm going to take the layout out. I'm going to make it a blank slide and I'm going to build my structure in here. So again, insert a 3x3. I'm going to just do a table. So maybe I'm going to be a little bit more daring and I'm going to do a 4x4. Okay. I'm going to fill up the screen with it. So, you know, what's the tricky part of this? I have no center, right? Oh, tricky, tricky, tricky. So you can use these 4 blocks in a little different way. There's no right way or wrong way to do this. I just want you to understand that. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a picture of a butterfly here. Okay. And I got a couple options here. Well, that was weird. Thanks. Come back to me. I just totally explored, decided it hated me. I clicked explore, didn't I? I was pretty sure I did. Okay, hold on. All right, I was just like, wow, butterfly. I know I didn't lose my mind. I mean, might have, right? Well, butterfly. Oh, wow, that was weird. Okay, so it's weird that it went to the butterfly bush. Oh, you know what? Okay, I'm going to do that. So I'm going to take this, and my issue is that it's stuck behind my screen and I can't see it. So big one, right? See, so that's a big one. I'm just going to literally put it inside one of my little things here because this might be something about like habitats, right? So habitats, what are the habitats? Like what plants, so this might be, oh my gosh, what plants do we have in our ecosystem in the north that support butterflies, right? Why do we not see butterflies? We can kind of go down that road, right? We don't have a lot of milk. We don't have a lot of milkweed. That's one of our issues, right? So it's killing off all the butterflies, or our butterflies aren't living because we don't have a lot of milkweed. So those are the kind of conversations you can have with students. So I like the pictures in there. I think it's very appealing. So I'm going to do a couple of things in here. I'm going to make a whole bunch more slides because this is kind of the trick of the matter. So whatever question or whatever we put in here about habitats, I would grab this picture right here, copy. I'd put it on this slide because I'm basically going to link this spot to this slide. Does that make sense? This right in here to this slide, okay? So I'm going to highlight this like this. And I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to link. And then it's going to ask me the question. Do you want to put in a link or do you want to put slides in the presentation? Ooh, I want slides in this presentation. And I'm going to go down and I know that it's slide, look at 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to apply it. So I'm going to put the words habitats in here. Quite honestly, you know, one of the things that I almost always do, and I didn't do it and I should have, it makes it a little easier to find. I always put my words in first on the secondary slide because then it's easier to find. Thanks, Margaret. Okay, let me do another one. Let me do butterflies. Let's see if I can actually find butterflies this time instead of everything. Oh, look at that. There are actually butterflies out there. Perfect. Okay. I want that one. I'm going to put it over there. Like, so I might ask like, something along the lines, like what kind of species are out there? What do we know about the species of butterflies? Okay. I'm going to put text in there. So students could kind of explore on their own. So they can give me this back in any way they want. I don't care. Like they can draw it, write it, research it, film it. I don't care. I don't care because what I want is them to be creative and to have, you know, put some thought into it to kind of build something that they want. So I'm going to grab this. Sorry, that was really chaotic. Grab this right here, put it on this slide, and then I'm going to link it again. Highlight, link, whoop, sorry, my text, it did not link it, right? Link, I'm going to right click. Okay, it's just decided it's not going to do that. All right. Can't always be easy, Bond. Right click, link, and now when I click slides in this presentation, because I put the words on for, it's going to be easier to find. I always do that. Oh, nice. Jurassic Park, butterflies return. I don't even know what that means, Rick, but okay, that would be good. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but it sounds like a good plan. Think big, okay? So this is kind of, so students could draw species, they could research species. Are there extinct species of butterflies? I don't even know, right? So it'd be kind of fun. Oh, there's a Jurassic butterfly. I get it now. Okay, cool. So there's just all kinds of options. So the linking is really cool that you can link in the slide presentation. You can do this. Yep.
Just a quick question. So if you have them linked to a slide,
Yep.
within that slide, let's say you had them link, let's say it's like a spelling contract menu or whatever, and one of them is to go make a crossword puzzle or to go do a Google drawing or whatever.
Yep.
How would you have them get it back in there?
How would you do it in the classroom?
How would I do it in the classroom? I don't know. I've never done it. That's what I'm
How would
saying.
you have
Like,
a student?
I used to
I
do
know,
spelling
I'm playing
contracts, but it was
devil's
all on
advocate.
paper.
I'm playing devil's advocate because you've been here enough. I want to see if you, how would you have a student prove to you in the classroom that they did something?
They probably have to save it and upload it.
Oh, they'd show it to you, right? So remember, one of the things you can teach your students is that you can teach them how to do a screenshot, right?
Mhm.
You could teach them how to save a screenshot, and then all they do is paste it in there. That would be their proof. That's that. They could take a picture, they could put it in. So
That way it all can stay in the same document. I don't want to have a bunch of different things uploaded to me because then I lose them.
well, if you did it in Google Classroom, right, you could have that option. The other option, my friends, that you could totally do, if you really wanted to go rogue on this, you could make this copy for every student and they put their own proof of what they did into the slides, into each one of their grids. So this might be Susie's and this might be Bobby's and this might be Joey's and this might be Timmy's, right? They'd all go into one. That's another option, right? Then you got them all working in one slide. It depends on how much you trust them. I'm kind of like, yep, nope, not so much, right? So that they wouldn't be, I wouldn't be trusting them very much. I'd probably give them their own. But that's going to be to each their own. Okay, so you're going to use, does that make sense? Start with that blank slate, insert the table, link each cell to another slide. Does anybody need me to show you how to do that in PowerPoint? You guys know how to do that, or you want to watch that process once in PowerPoint? You got it. Okay, so I'm going to go into PowerPoint just once. I'm going to come out here. When I go into PowerPoint, make a blank presentation. I'm going to just, it's not going to matter how I do it. I'm just going to put in a picture. Gosh, oh, let's use the rooster crowing. That's kind of funny, right? All right, so I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna link it to this page right here. I'm gonna put them up in the corner. So my students are gonna do the work right there, right? Screamers. I don't know why I find that funny, but I don't know. Okay, so Screamers, this one. So if this was like my first choice board option over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna hyperlink it. And the option is not in the document, place in this document. It's on the side here. So you're gonna click and place in the document, and then you find the slide. So I have it, I already named it, it's called Screamers. So it's set up a little differently, but same exact thing. Does that make sense? Okay, so in PowerPoint, when you click to the slide, when you create that hyperlink, it pops into the side, just so you know where that sits. It's a little different. I'll do it one more time so you see it. I'm gonna remove it. If you've done it before, it makes sense. If you haven't, you're like, huh? What it is right in there. So I'm going to hyperlink it, and it's right here. This is where it defaults to, existing file or web page, and you're gonna place it in this document. And then your slides pop up. And then you just click the next slide and say, okay. Easy enough, right? Once you see it, once you're like, oh yeah, I think I've seen that before. That's that magic that people do that you're like, oh man, I thought it was like magician work. It's not. Okay. So sharing out. I think Google Classroom, Microsoft Teams are all really good options, right? You're going to use that. You can also share by link to your students. If you've never forced a copy, let me be the one to bring you magical joy and great bliss and happiness. And I know I'm a little bit over, but this could probably make your day. If you go to the end of any address on a website that has the word edit, anything that you've created that has the word edit in it, and you make it copy, I took everything from the slash off, right? Everything. Now I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to put it on a new page, and you're going to watch the magic begin. And this, my friends, is called a forced copy. And it works in Microsoft. You have to be online to make it work in Microsoft. So once you load your PowerPoint to OneDrive, then you can do it in there once you see the link. So all I did was take off anything past that last slash. Anything past that last slash. It's really hard to see the whole address here. And there's the last slash. See it right there? I took all of that off and replaced it with the word copy. That's called a forced copy. That is gift number 3 to you today, right? Magical moments. Forcing copies is a great way to share. Slides, and also, not slides, a shared folder to your students. You can do it that way. Does not necessarily have to be via email. Doesn't have to be via anything magical. You can just put them into a folder. So I've given you some more resources in here that you can use. Here's some really good books. If you're really into books, this is absolutely one of my absolute favorites, called Personalized Learning Through Voice and Choice. And to the point where I think I have it, is it right here? Yeah, and I also have, this is another one of the books along that same series. It's called Harnessing Technology for Deeper Learning. That one's actually at home. So you can tell that it's a book that I love because I've marked it up bad, right? If you want to do some reading on that. So basically, if you have any questions, I'm going to stay. I also put the model schools catalog. I really want to let you know, like, the catalog is going to start to wind down a little bit because we know that you guys are getting to the end of the school year. If you have requests, please reach out to me for sure. The catalog for the summer is going to probably be out June 15th. So you'll know what's in the summer catalog. That catalog is not going to update as much as this one has while we were home. I'm kind of hoping that we're going to be able to take a break for you guys, for your sanity, for the last 2 weeks of June, so you can get a break because you need it, right? You're tired. We're all tired. This has been a long haul. I want to just say congratulations. You've done really good work. You know, I've worked with almost all of you. Feel free to always reach out to me. You have my contact information right here. either email will work. If we did something today and you're really not sure how I got through it, just contact me by email. We'll set up a personal time. We'll do a WebEx and I'll walk you through it. Or, just send me a quick email if you're not quite getting it, and I can always do a video back to you. So I do use that mode a lot. So thank you, everybody. Make sure you've signed in on the sidebar. If you didn't do that before you leave, I just want to make sure I can give you all credit. And thank you. Have a great day.
Virginia, it's Lori. I have another quick question.